In the interview, Messi did explain that he has not made his decision if he is going to leave Barcelona, and he does see the MLS and playing in the United States in his future. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Anthony for Onion Bag, and I just wanted to go over the interview that Messi did with Lasexta. And while it is in Spanish, it may be hard for a lot of people to get direct access to what he's saying. So I did want to take a moment just to go a brief overview of some of the highlights. Mind you, these are my translated second generation high points, but I think I'm pretty close. I think I'm pretty close to what was being discussed. But I did want to share some of these things because usually I just stick to what's happening on the field. I try not to get involved in rumors and drama and all the ups and downs because really, I just like the game. I just like the way it's playing. I like the way it's progressing on the field. I like to see the Y's, the X's, and the O's. And in this situation, it's Messi, right? Barcelona fan trying to see where he's going. Everything's up in the air, willing to listen to anything I can to know more about where he's going because, I mean, let's be honest, when it really comes down to it, Messi is a once-in-a-lifetime generational player you will never see again, and he dictates where you're watching, what you're doing, and he's important, okay? So, I'm going over the interview. There were a few things. Just want to start off, the tone started out pretty genial, pretty kind. Messi doesn't do a lot of interviews, so this is kind of a big deal. He sits down, they started off, mind you guys, I'm just going to give some top level information for those of you who don't have access to the interview or, the regular Spanish version is a little complicated. So, we're talking about, in general, like it started out really, one of the quotes that came from it, and I'll kind of give it in quotes, he said, "I don't play to be the best player in the world, I play to win and give everything to my team." So really, just like we all know, Messi is not a person that is trying to be the greatest player. He wants to play in a system, but he does want to win. And he made that very clear in this interview. He was also saying, actually he had some pretty good stuff. They were asking, when they were really going over it all, they started out with the guy, even the interviewer, Jordy, he wanted his autograph. So like everybody's a fan. Doesn't matter what you do, it's a fan. Then he kind of started getting into information about his kids and about Barcelona, and he really wanted to say, he explained, "I feel everything. Barcelona is my life. It's a love relationship with Barcelona. My life has, ever since arriving, since he was a kid at 13 years old, all started here," right? He was discussing a lot of the gestures, interactions with players. He says, they say, "Well, do you try to make everyone feel comfortable on the field? Do you try to make everyone feel like," because everyone does big talk in the Spanish media, "Do you like Griezmann or not?" And he just simply quoted, quote, "I do what I feel." And so trying to say, no, I don't think about it. I'm just a regular human being. I do what I can. I care most about the team. And some of these things are blown way out of proportion. He also talked about spending a lot of time about, as we know his story, his childhood, he left from Argentina to Spain when he was 13 years old, talking about how difficult that was, just some of the challenges with that. Also, then the interviewer, at times he kind of got a little cheeky, to be completely honest. One of the questions was, do you feel the world through the pandemic is suffering outside of the bubble? Are you living in like a privileged bubble? And Messi explained, well, we know what is happening. We know what is going on in the world. We live in reality. And he was basically trying to let him know, like, we're still human. Also, and then he asked him point blank, "What's something you don't like about your life being Messi, one of the greatest players in the world?" And he said, "I wish I was anonymous. I wish I could go where I wanted, go places, and no one would know who I am." And I think that is something, anyone who's followed Messi, that's one of the bigger things in his life. He wishes he could disappear at times. He says, "I don't like people looking at me. I don't like that." And then one of the guy made a really weird question. He's like, "Oh, you make a lot of money. Do you know how much money's in your bank account?" It was just, I don't know. Maybe it went over better in its regular language. For me, it just seems a little eek. Also, they started talking about the pandemic and what's going on in Spain. And he made a comment. He said, in Spain, they care more about soccer over schools. It was kind of cringy. It was like, He said, but there's nothing we can do about that. And then he also stated that through the pandemic, playing soccer, because he was asking questions about soccer and playing it during this time, and don't you feel that it's inappropriate? And he said it was a good distraction during the lockdowns. Good distractions for everyone, not just for the players. He also said, they asked him, how does it feel playing in stadiums where no one's around? And he said, empty stadiums are horrible, cold, and huge. And he also said, quote unquote, it's very strange. He also said, some of the results on the field are particularly due to the lack of an audience. And he was explaining that you can tell it's a whole completely different game when you don't have fans there. So on top of that, also another one of the quotes, remember these are like pseudo quotes, right? So this is what they said, not exact, not per se, but he stated authorities, like the government, care more for the economic interest than the well-being of the players. Do some shade on that one. Letting them know they care more about money than the players. Then they went into talking about Maradona, and Messi was explaining how his father told him about it, how it was a little, he was shocked, he couldn't believe it. He says he still can't believe it. His dad told him that he saw it on TV, and then he was explaining how much Maradona meant to the Argentinians. They talked about, then they went to the jersey, that dedication goal run you did for Maradona in one of the Barcelona games, and he was explaining how somebody he knew gave him a Maradona worn jersey, and he's so great for the celebration. They were joking about, okay, so you wear your undershirt, then you wore the Maradona shirt, then you wore the Barcelona shirt. You had to be pretty confident you're going to score. And he stated, no, I had to score that game, but it had been a few days since I'd scored, but I was confident that I was going to score. And you think about that, wearing 3 thick jerseys in a game, but he took it off, and it was a moment. It really was a moment. Then they started talking about politics back in Argentina, and he was stating how politicians are too far away from the regular people. Then the interviewer, Jordy, tried to pin him down. I said, are you a right wing or a left wing? And Messi simply said, no. He goes, I want people to be happy and get what they need. Then it moved away from politics, Maradona, back to the game, and it said, we're talking about what are some of the things that were going on. He goes, I really don't like losing. He says he gets hot-headed about it. That's just something that, the way he is. He was also, there was a couple other jokes in there. I'll just kind of push back those. Then they were asking, when you sent the Verifax over that stated that you wanted to leave Barcelona, would you do that again if you had a chance to redo that? And he said, it was a way to do it official. At the time, that's what I felt was best. He said he spent the last year, specifically the most recent 6 months, telling the previous president he wanted out, and they didn't care, so he had to make the official move. And I think we all know that. Messi also stated that the team was not in the right direction. I mean, there's numerous things we can talk about that was going wrong. On top of the fact that, they had upheaval, a new coach, things weren't going well. The transfers were always not really what they needed. The team was growing older, needed to get younger. All the things that we talk about all the time. But basically, he said he wanted to win championships. He needed to know that he was on a winning project. He was spending his time, even though it's his childhood club, he needed to know that there was a future, and he did not feel like there was a plan. That really frustrated him. He quoted, he said, I felt like the cycle was over. And let's be honest here, guys. It felt like it was over too. We could feel that. He said it felt like the cycle was over. They needed younger players. He said, I knew that this season was going to be a transition year with young players. He goes, I wanted to win titles and put things... I wanted to win titles. And then also, he said there were some issues where things were put in the media, saying it was... a very difficult decision in giving the Verifax, but he was feeling horrible. Then he was talking about how he loves Barcelona. It's the best cities where his kids were born. When he had finally decided to make it official and asked for a release, that his kids were very sad. They did not want to move. That was you could tell was pulling on his heart. He also said that. He said, they asked, well, what were some, he also quoted, said, I prefer not to talk about the things that made me very upset that you don't know. You want to know, he said it wasn't one thing that made him upset. It was a road. It was a journey. And he said, it started with all the issues, the not winning, then going out in Champions League in embarrassing fashion. He said it was a road and things continue to get worse as they went down it. Then he talks about, what about going to court? You could have went to court and been released. When you asked to be released and Barcelona did not release you, he said, I would have won in court. I've already talked to numerous lawyers. They said I would have won in court and I would have got out of my contract, but I did not want to take Barcelona to court. So then they started talking about taxes, and then they asked him, do you feel like you're being unfairly targeted for taxes? And he says, I don't necessarily feel that I'm being particularly targeted. For me, it's like taxes. I'm like, let's not go into that. But I guess they got to do what they got to do. I'm not particularly interested because it's not in my pocket. So then they talked about, he asked him directly, how long have you recently spoke to Pep Guardiola? And he goes, we have spoken. He's leading out. Are you thinking about going to Man City? He was leaning towards it. And then he also said he was the best coach. He has something special. The way he explains, he knows what's happening offensively and defensively. One of the greatest coaches. Just gave him a little shine. Also talked a little bit about Luis Enrique. They're both great coaches. He went on to say he really appreciated that. Then they were talking about, what are some of the things that really upset you? He said one of the things that upset him was the way people always say he picks the teams, he picks the players, Argentina, Barcelona, whatever Messi says goes. And he said it couldn't be further from the truth. That is something that really offends him. It really hurts his feelings when he's going around the world and people think that he's making decisions on and off the field, everything. He said that's not true. Then they also talked about the idea about one of the people in the media on the Barcelona board in the transition saying he would have sold Messi. And he asked him, how do you feel that he says he would have sold you? He said, let's not look backwards. Let's look forward. He's just there for the transition. He's not the future. He pointed that out. Also, then this is where it waited to the very end, but they got to some really important stuff. They're asking, are you going to stay with Barcelona? And really what he said was, he needs to, first he said, when he was talking about the new president, he said the new president has an especially hard job due to the pandemic, not having the fans, lower funds, where the club is at this current spot. He said they really do have a hard job ahead of them. But he's going to wait for the elections, January 24th, before making any decision if he's going to leave. Now, we all know that Messi can start contract negotiations with other clubs, two of the top being Manchester City, PSG, on January 1st. That would end in June without any fees. So the one positive is, it does seem like Messi is not planning on leaving Barcelona in the January window. I don't think many people thought he was. For a second there, when he was so unhappy, I was afraid he would. So he's going to finish this season. He also said that's how he'll make his decision. Said it's going to be fairly hard to bring players into Barcelona now. Not only the money, but also how the team's been playing. Fifth in La Liga. I believe they're going to get higher up, you guys. I really do. I believe they're going to continue pushing up. But just so you know. And then he also said that later in his life, he would like to be a sporting director. He doesn't see himself being a coach. Another positive thing, too, he also stated that after his playing career in Europe ends at the top flight, he does plan on would like to play in the MLS. He would like to move to the United States and play for the MLS. Those of us over here in the United States, that's an amazing thing to hear. I think every single person, he will be... He's going to be a spectacle. Everyone in every state is going to want to see him. And here, a lot of the players in the United States get a lot more privacy. They're not treated so much. There's not so many people following them everywhere they go. Even our American sports stars, basketball, football, they're able to go to restaurants, eat. People give them space. It's not like it is in other places where they can't even walk down the street without people, just swarming him. So I think it is a good option, I think they've talked about Luis Suarez come in. I remember seeing David Villa when he came. These people... they come over here. It's an easier transition. Ibrahimovic just left. Now he's at AC Milan tearing it up. So it doesn't mean coming to the MLS that you can't play, that you're completely done. But it does mean your top years could be over, meaning that you just don't want to sprint and run as much as you would, but you're also still an amazing player. Anyway, I went on a tangent on that, but I was excited, super excited to hear that. Overall, I'd say the tone of it was pretty positive, right? He also said, as far as Ronald Koeman, that he does see that the club is currently seeing a lot of progress with these young players. He knew that this was the transitional year. The young players, he said, they're starting to come along. Some of his decision to possibly leave was to not hinder the young players' progress. But he's here, he is seeing progress, and he feels a lot of these young players are coming along, and that Ronald Koeman is doing a great job. So that's exciting. Also, so I think, like you said, some of the highlights. He won't decide until after the election if he's going to come or he's going to stay at Barcelona or leave. He also really pointed out, don't look backwards, look forward. We're here. I'm not holding the club responsible. The president that had to step down, not holding everyone currently managing the club responsible for what he did. Also asked, would you like to play for Xavi? And he basically said, listen, let's just see who they bring in before we make any decisions. I thought that was good. Later in life, he wants to be a chairman. So, you guys, I hope I didn't bumble through that too messy. The main thing is he hasn't made a decision, but it does sound more positive than what a lot of us thought. So, if the fact that he hasn't made a firm decision now means that we need those in power and these elections to go well. Bring in some good people. He is seeing progress with the team. He feels the coach is making progress. That's positive. And kind of exciting to actually hear it from his own voice, you guys. So if you can watch it, I bet you there'll be more translated versions coming out soon. But this is just a brief recap. I feel like it's very positive, especially for those of us in America, that he wants to make his way here, probably around the same time as the World Cup's coming here. Would kind of make sense. So anyone, have a great Sunday. Join my channel if you like. There's a game coming up, Barcelona on Tuesday, where Messi will not be playing. He's been getting an extended Christmas break by Barcelona. He's back in Argentina. And so we're going to see the young squad, what it would look like without Messi. Are they going to start with 3 in the back and with the wing backs? Are we going to do the same formation as last game? Is he going to trade it because Messi's not in? We'll see. Exciting thing, guys. Have a good Sunday. And if those of you got to go to work tomorrow morning, good luck.